Hey, everybody, welcome to the 21 Minutes or Less podcast. I'm one of your co hosts, Keisha Milana,
And I am your other co-host, Nikia Smith.
and today we are joined by a special recurring guest. Her name is Nic Hyl, and she's a Black woman who owns a fashion brand. And she uses Jamaican inspired premium swimwear, carnival Monday wear, and resort wear. She's giving all beauties the pieces that they need to feel the most confident and beautiful in their skin for now and beyond. And her slogan is out of many, one people. Nick has also founded Live Beautiful Nation Foundation to help women battling the day to day cost of living with breast cancer after learning how difficult it was after her own diagnosis. So, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you feeling?
I'm doing really well, Keisha. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Nakia. I'm really excited to be here with you guys again.
Yes. And today we are talking about nutrition and exercise. And so when we reached out to her to speak, we really gave her a free range to talk about what she wanted to talk about as long as it was pertaining to self-care. So I was really excited that she picked nutrition and exercise. And I feel like it kind of just went along with what I remember about her episode and when we talked to her and how she was saying that working in the fashion industry, a lot of women would come to her and they wouldn't like their bodies when they were trying on clothes. And she was really helping them to just feel more confident and beautiful. And I just feel like a lot of times when we think about nutrition and exercise, it's coming from a place of looking more aesthetically pleasing instead of actually being more healthy and like taking care of your body and trying to make sure you reduce the likelihood of getting certain diseases and just like protecting your heart rate and stuff. So, thank you for picking this topic. I feel like it's really important. And I just wanted to start with you maybe just discussing how nutrition and exercise has been so beneficial for you.
Thank you. That's such a great question. I think you hit the nail on the head that a lot of people focus more on the aesthetics part of it than on the actual benefits that we get from taking care of our bodies. And as Black women, I think that that's even more important because there's so much pressure on our shoulders from the world, from our families, from our relationships, from the jobs that we have. And we, as Black women, have the highest rate of heart disease than any other race and gender. And that means that Black women have strokes, they have heart attacks. They're we really need to pay attention so that we don't fall victim to such horrible diseases. As it relates to your question in my own life, I've used diet and exercise just to help with, if I have a stomach ache, like we were talking about earlier, Nikia, maybe it's drinking tea or it's eating foods and using food as the medicine to help cure whatever is ailing me, as opposed to relying on actual medicine. And the way that that's benefited me, last year I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and all of 2022 was my treatment with breast cancer. So going through chemotherapy and surgery and radiation and everything that has to do with cancer. But the one thing I was so grateful for was that at the start of that journey, because I had taken really good care of my body prior to my cancer diagnosis, it made my experience with cancer as easy as it could be because I didn't have any medications that I was addicted to or that my body had become used to, so that my body wasn't able to respond the way that they wanted it to respond once I was having to take heavy medication. I was fit enough to be able to withstand the poison, quite frankly, that I was having to take to kill the cancer. And I was strong enough to sustain my day to day life while battling a disease like cancer. And the only reason that I think that I was able to do that was because of the health and condition of my body going into the disease. And unfortunately, no one ever knows when any disease, whether it's as large as cancer or as, maybe a smaller disease, like, and I don't want to downplay any disease, but on the scale of diseases, you've got, some that are a little bit more difficult than others. But whatever, you don't know if you're going to be sick or not tomorrow with a horrible disease or not. Or even if it's something as simple, well, not simple, but as important as pregnancy, for example. You have to be healthy to be able to carry a human being for 9 months to life. And the better condition and health that you're in at the start of that journey, the easier that journey is for everybody involved, whether it's you or the baby you're carrying or your family if they're helping you through an illness. I can't say enough about how important it is to maintain your health just to help get you through things that you don't know that could be coming.
You really touched on some very important things. And I just wanted to ask you, like, how important is it to have a positive mindset during a time like that when you have been diagnosed with something? Like, where was your mind at, and how did you make it stay positive?
Another really good question. So for 2022, my mind was kind of all over the place because my mom had passed away in January of 2022. And then 2 months later, I got my breast cancer diagnosis. So it was a really mentally and emotionally tricky time. Um, Honestly, for me, cancer kind of helped me not focus on how sad it was to lose my mom. Like I had something else to fight for and to get me through the day. And honestly, I don't know how I would have responded to losing my mom if I didn't have to focus on living and surviving during that time. Because to lose a mom, and I was really close with my mom, so to lose a mom is hard, much more difficult than cancer is. So there were some days I was actually grateful for cancer because it allowed me to not just wallow in my own grief, of losing my mom. And it allowed me to, in some ways, gain clarity and to really appreciate life. Um, in terms of like how I was able to stay in such a good mood, or I don't want to say good mood because that wasn't really what it is. I guess positive would probably be a better word. Um, I just realized that a being negative about any of that situation, whether it was losing my mom or going through cancer, wouldn't change the fact that I was in the situation. I could be as angry as I wanted to be, or as mad at the world, or as I wanted to be, or upset, or name the emotion. I could be as much of that as I wanted to be. It still wasn't going to bring my mom back. And it still wasn't going to erase the fact that I had been diagnosed with breast cancer. So for me, I just felt like I don't have the energy to own those emotions and go through grief and battle cancer. So something has to go. And the easiest thing to let go of was any anger or um, and feelings of unfairness or why me, or any of those things. Like I didn't have the space for it. Everything else was too consuming. So instead of owning anger or owning anything that took more energy to have, I just decided to own peace. And I prayed so much and just gave all my faith, truly to God. And you I think in society, especially people who are spiritual or religious, when there's nothing testing you, it's very easy to say, I believe in God, and I have all this faith in the world, and to be with a positive, sunny outlook on everything. But the true test of that spirituality or religion comes about when you are being tried, and when you are being tested, and when you feel like everything has been taken from you and you're in that valley. And if you can turn and still have faith and turn to your religion in that moment, I think that anyone who's been there and done that will experience that it's that spirituality or that faith that carries you, and that faith is the source of whatever positive outlook that you have.
Yes. I was shaking my head and smiling because I've been there, done that, survived it.
Right? You know it. There's this I'm probably not gonna say the names right, and I don't want to get too religious, but there's a story in the Bible about these three young boys who went against King Nebuchadnezzar, and they wouldn't worship his God. And because they wouldn't worship his God, he put them in a fiery furnace that was like guarded by lions, and the idea was that they were supposed to burn in this furnace. But when he went to check on them, he said that he put three men bound and four came out loose, and the fourth one was supposed to be Jesus. But it was their faith in God that had gotten them through that fire. And I felt all of last year, that was the analogy I kept saying to my aunt every time I talked to her, was just that I cannot be burned by this fire. This fire will not burn me. I'm being carried by someone much more strong and um, uh, able than I, in my human form, ever could do or be. And that's truly how I felt.
Yes. I wanted to just circle back to something that you said because it reminded me of something I went through similar. You said that you were diagnosed with cancer right after your mom passed. And I find that very interesting because I had a diagnosis of myself and it happened after a really close friend to me passed away.
I'm
And
sorry.
I went to the doctor and that was one of the first questions she asked. She said, "Did you just lose someone recently?" And I was like, um, no, but a few weeks later, I did. And I was like, that was very interesting that, that she asked that. But prior to that, my grandmother died of breast cancer. And so I had a few traumatic, things around, people passing. And it made me think that sometimes our illnesses don't come from, genetics, or it doesn't come from the food we eat. Sometimes it stems from trauma and the stress that, comes from that, and us not dealing with that, and, just brushing it to the side and just keep going on with life. But that stress can build up and turn it, manifest into something, like a disease or something. So I just thought it was very interesting that that happened to you because I feel like, there was kind of like something similar that I experienced as well.
You're absolutely right that we can definitely internalize all of the emotions that we go through in the world, and they can manifest in our bodies in all sorts of ways, like like we touched on at the top of the conversation: heart attacks, strokes, cancers, ulcers, um, just mental anxiety, physical, emotional trauma. In my case, it was it wasn't quite that. Like, I had a lump that I had noticed um, about a year and a half earlier, and my doctor, when I brought it to her attention, told me that it was probably scar tissue. And now the three of us and everybody else knows that that wasn't the case at all. It actually was, at the time, a small tumor. But because I didn't get the mammogram that I needed, it would grow into a larger tumor. So by the time my mom passed, I knew that I had a lump, and I knew that I didn't know what it was, but I knew something was there. And it was kind of just so the timing of it. Like, I found it right before 2020. So, like the end of 2019. Obviously, 2020 happened and nobody could go anywhere. My husband and I lost our health insurance in 2021. So I didn't know how I was going to be able to get the care that I needed in 2021 because I didn't have health insurance. And then in 2022, or towards the end of 2021, going into 2022, we got health insurance, but then my mom got sick, and she was sick for about a month. And then unfortunately, she passed away. So when I went to the doctor shortly after my mom passed away, in my case, it was really just trying to do what I had been putting off or couldn't get done, I should say, for the last like year and a half. And now I was finally able to do it. Um, but I don't know where cancer came from in my case. My family has a history of cancer, but not breast cancer. I'm the first person in my family that has had breast cancer. So I don't know. I've had stressful jobs. It's totally possible that, whatever I was internalizing, I caused me to get cancer. I honestly don't know the details of how I would have gotten it. Um, Especially when, I've been a healthy person, and, I don't drink a ton, I don't smoke, I don't eat poorly, I work out, like I did all the things that you're supposed to do, and I still got cancer. But the one benefit, like we talked about before, because I was already in a decent shape, healthy wise, it allowed me, I think, to go through all of the treatments that I had to go through without getting as sick as what some other people do. Like I still was sick, and um I didn't escape that part of it, but it didn't have its clutches on me the way that it does with some people. And I'm so sorry for your loss, Nakia. Losing grandmas are hard, and friends.
Yes,
Yes.
for
Thank
sure.
you.
You're welcome.
So you've talked already about how, the benefits of you being and living in a healthy lifestyle help to reduce some of the challenges that might have come later on. So can you just tell the audience a little bit about what does your healthy lifestyle look like? Like what exercises are you doing? Do you do like home at the gym? And then like what does a healthy meal look like to you?
Such a great question. I would say for me, my healthy lifestyle first starts with choosing the people around me.
Mm.
I don't think that it serves anybody um, who's trying to focus on a healthy lifestyle to have bad energy around them. People who create stress in your life, people who are maybe lying to you, people who make you feel less than who you're supposed to be, people who are putting you down. Um, if you're around someone who can't see how amazing you are, I would say start with clearing out those people from your life. And I recognize that in some instances that's easier said than done. um there's obviously some people you're not going to be able to remove from your life because that toxic energy might be a family member. It could be maybe your parents, your mom, your significant other. um but I think that each of us owes it to ourselves to put ourselves in the best scenario as possible, because we are worth love. We are worth positivity. We are worth caring, being cared for, and being treated properly. And if that's not existing yet, you have to find a way to get that, because all your other work that comes after that in terms of diet and exercise, what's it even going to matter if that it's kind of going to what you were saying before, Keisha, where at that point, that's almost working on the aesthetic and not the internal. If you're not doing the work to make your space and your mind um, as healthy as possible. So for me, I started on that part a long time ago, and I'm constantly making sure that I feel seen and I feel represented and I feel loved and I feel cared for. And when people speak to me in a way that doesn't honor that energy, I bring it to their attention right away. And I bring it to their attention just like this. The same way that I'm talking to you right now is probably the same way that I'll address it. I might be a bit more stern, but I'm also not gonna lose my peace or lose my grace and give somebody that kind of power over me. I control my energy in all forms. I control what energy I accept and I control what energy I'm giving out because I have autonomy over me. From there, I think everything else is actually a lot easier to maintain because now that you've shown yourself that you are loved and that you are important enough to receive love from your friends, from your significant other, from your family members, from yourself, it makes it so much easier to eat right, to exercise in a way that you don't feel like it's a responsibility. So you do it because you love yourself and this is your time to yourself, like maybe you had a bad day at work or a taxing day at work, and now that exercise becomes the stress reliever for that moment, and you integrate it into your life more like medicine or an outlet versus a chore or a responsibility. And you recognize that this is something that you get to do because not everybody gets to do it, versus feeling like you have to do it. So I would say start with the hard work of making sure that the people who are in your life are worthy of you because not everybody is, especially as Black women. We really are magical. And why are you giving that magic and that glitter to people who don't deserve it? Keep it for yourself.
Ooh, that was just so good. You have so many gems just dropping everywhere.
Thank you.
Speaking of gems, what is some amazing advice that you have ever received, whether it was about entrepreneurship or nutrition and health?
My mom, she used to give me such great advice, and a lot of the great gems that she gave me when I was a little girl. And she always just spoke so much truth and wisdom to me. And one of the things that stands out, especially as you ask that question and in line of what we're talking about, when I was 5 years old, she always told me or began teaching me at 5 to always love myself first. And I think as women, that's so important. She said, before anybody, you always love yourself first. And I remember I asked her, like, before you and daddy, before, my brother, before yes, you love yourself first, because her logic was in loving yourself, you are showing other people how they have to treat you. And in loving yourself first, it means that you won't allow other people to disrespect you. And because you have love for yourself, you're able to give love. So the best advice that I would say is just in honor of my mom, to always love yourself first. And the source of everything kind of starts from there. The way the world treats you starts with the love you have for yourself, the love you can give to, your parents, your friends, your significant other, your kids, your family, whoever. Kind of starts with the love you have for yourself. When you respect yourself, you're able to respect other people and you're able to command respect. It all starts from the relationship you have with yourself.
Speaking of relationships, I do want to ask, how was your support system beneficial to you during your difficult time?
Oh my God, they were amazing. But the greatest thing in life that I have ever been given was my family. I was born into truly an amazing family and have experienced love every day of my life on this earth. And I was fortunate enough to also marry an amazing man. And I recognize that that is a true privilege in life because not everybody has that. And my family was awesome. They were able to pray for me on days where I was too weak to pray for myself. They lifted me up in prayer every day, you know, during that difficult time and even now. My husband went with me to every doctor's appointment that I had, and he was there to intake information with me and, you know, make my dinner, make my breakfast, make my meals, make sure that I was eating, make sure I was going to the appointments, make sure that I had energy and I was being healthy. There to talk to me, you know, and check in to see how I was doing mentally, especially after just losing my mom and then being diagnosed with breast cancer. Um, I honestly don't know how I would have managed last year without my husband and my family and my friends. And, you know, if not for them, I don't know where I'd be. You know, they were just, they went through it with me. So they were, it wasn't just me in that valley. It was also them. So I, I owe everything to them.
I did a video about that. When I said when we going through our tests, we aren't the only ones getting tested. It's the people around us getting tested as well. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
you brought that up.
Absolutely. I mean, if anybody, if someone loves you, you know, they're going to hurt when you hurt and cry when you cry. So absolutely, it's a family affair. Um, with at least with my experience, when I finish radiation, it was the end of all of my treatments and all of my surgeries. And at the end, they have a bell that you ring, and when I rang the bell, my husband and I rang the bell together because it was the end of that journey for both of us. Especially, you know, like I said, he was there at all the doctor's appointments with me. Some of them were very early in the morning. Some of them were very long, like 4 hours, 5 hours long. You know, sometimes we were at the doctor all day, and he was there the entire time, never complained, not once. So it was, at the end, I felt like we both accomplished this huge thing, and we got through it together. We're both survivors.
Yes, I love that because a lot of people do change up once people start going through health issues, and they can like start to feel as though the person is a burden. And a lot of times people, when they taking care of somebody who have health issues, it can lead them to their own health issues. So I'm just really glad to see that he was so supportive. And my last question before we get into our game is going to be pretty much, I know you said your day to day didn't change much, again because of those preparations that you had already did before even being able to get the diagnosis. But can you tell me about any ways that maybe your business might have changed, whether it was positive or negative, as a result of you, you know, facing breast cancer?
Absolutely. As an entrepreneur, no, first of all, I don't even know how people with a 9 to 5 job go through cancer because you live at the doctor's. You're at the doctor all the time. So that was like one thing that I questioned all of the time. But in terms of my business, my business last year was bare minimum. I didn't have the mental capacity, the physical strength. I didn't have much to give to it. You know, it's kind of like, how do you give when you don't really have, you know? And that was no different. So in terms of business, I think I was running like some Facebook ads and doing like digital advertising. I think I did my newsletter as much as I could. I hired a virtual assistant to help me, and she was amazing with creating content and helping me to like still have somewhat of a presence, but it definitely fell behind compared to previous years. And now I'm really just trying to reassess where the business is at, create some strategies to move forward, and start implementing those strategies so that I can kind of get going again. But the business absolutely took a probably the other than my body and me, it was probably the secondary thing that was hit the hardest, because as you know, when you run a business of any kind, if if you don't work, the business doesn't. And I wasn't really working that much in the business. I didn't have it.
Yes. I'm glad you took the time out to think about yourself and kind of, delegated your business to somebody else. And I do want to ask, how important is it to have your, you know, business in order for, when things like that happen that you may not be privy to? Like, this was something that came out of nowhere, but you had systems probably in place and your foundation in place, so you could get an assistant to come in and help you. So how important is that?
Super important, especially like it depends on if someone actually wants to run and operate a business versus having a hobby. They're going to have those systems in place and the organization in place anyway. So you might as well treat your business like a business and do all of those automations and integrations and whatever you can do to operate smoothly anyway, because whether you get sick or not, it's just going to make your life easier, just to be able to not have to manually do so many things. It's just going to be easier for you in your day to day anyway. It's going to allow you to own more of your time. And then if something unforeseen does arise, you're better able to step out of the business and the business still be able to run without you having to manually do everything. So I would absolutely urge anyone listening that hasn't already taken any steps to automate or have their business run in a more efficient way to start working on that. Because if the one takeaway that I learned from last year is none of us know what tomorrow holds, good or bad. And you just want to be as best prepared as possible if tomorrow brings you bad. And the one thing with life that we do know is it's not fair. And equally, we will all get good, and equally, we will all get bad. And the more prepared you are for whatever comes your way, the quicker you can get out of that situation and begin to live your life normally again.
I have one last question, and it's because I used to do it, but I have learned, especially through the podcast, self care. But for somebody who may be just starting out or who just realize they have a health issue or something, and they do everything to overcompensate because they know that any moment they could get sick, what would you tell that person?
Ooh. Um, Step back from the situation as much as you can to gain perspective, and try to figure out why you're overcompensating. Um, there's a reason. And I think that when you can tap into that reason and be honest with yourself, it might give you perspective and clarity on the situation as a whole. I think the tricky part about what I just said is that in order to step back, you kind of need some time to yourself. You need to be able to silence the noise that you're in. That might mean sitting in your car for 10, 15, 20 minutes when you get home before you go inside. If you live, with people that don't give you your space, that might mean, going in the bathroom and locking the door. and just running the water. So maybe you don't hear what's happening outside of the bathroom door, but you have to be able to hear what's in your mind, I think, to be able to gain some clarity and perspective on your life and the situation that you're in so that you can make decisions that are going to further you and be good for you and ultimately everybody around you. Women are the heartbeat of the home. So if you're not okay, the home's not okay. That's first and foremost. And if you're not the matriarch of the home and you're maybe the a child living at home with a parent, or it's you and some roommates, your energy contributes to the dynamic of the household. So even in that instance, if you're not okay, the house is not okay. And it's real important, I think, for us to again love ourselves first.
I love that.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. And we're just going to do like maybe 10 of the questions that we have for you. And we're going to give you 21 seconds to answer them. And it's pretty much just a would you rather. And we implemented like some topics that have to do with your business. We got some nutrition stuff, some physical activity stuff. So just something fun, something different. Um, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. And you have 21 seconds for each question. So if you want to say which one you choose and maybe like a very short definition of why, that would be perfect.
Got you.
Okay. I'm about to put the timer on the screen. Yes. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Would you rather eat grapes or mangoes?
Grapes. They're just poppable. But I do love mango.
Okay. Would you rather hike a mile or do 2 hours on a treadmill?
Hike a mile.
Okay.
Treadmill's boring.
I can agree. The treadmill is very boring. Okay. Would you rather eat sushi or salmon?
Both, because you could have salmon sashimi. I love sashimi. I love sushi. I'll take them both.
Okay. You just taught me something new. It's like a salmon and sushi mix.
Sashimi is just raw pieces of salmon, sometimes by themselves, and then sometimes they'll put it on like a little rice roll.
Mhm.
But it's really good. Or you could have salmon wrapped inside your sushi, which
Okay.
sushi you can have hand rolls or I forget what they call the other ones, but they're usually wrapped in some sort of seaweed, dried seaweed with rice, and then it could be salmon, it could be salmon and avocado, it could be salmon and cucumber. I'll take it all.
Okay. Would you rather eat pretzels or popcorn?
Ooh, this is another both for me. When I was 7, I ate pretzels the entire summer and like nothing else. And I used to have a popcorn business. I make really good popcorn. So I'll probably put pretzels in my popcorn with M&Ms.
Okay. A trail mix. Okay. Would you rather vacation in Brazil or Paris?
I'd say Brazil because I've been to Paris twice.
Okay.
So Brazil would be new.
Yes. I think that means all of us have been to Paris before. Okay. Traveling. Okay. Would you rather wear neutral colors or bright colors?
Bright colors. I'm Jamaican. And I grew up in Florida.
Yes. Okay. Would you rather drive your dream car or get chauffeur around in your dream car?
Chauffeured around in my dream car. If
Okay. Do
I
you
don't
have
ever
a
have to
dream
drive again, I'll be okay. I used to live in Atlanta. That traffic is real. I'm okay.
Do you have a dream car?
A 1949 Porsche Boxster. It's a vintage
Okay.
car. It's beautiful.
Yes. I hope you get there one day.
Amen. I do too. And I received that.
Yes. Okay, I'm just ask you two more questions.
Okay.
Would you rather only be able to eat vegetables that you grow or not be able to listen to music anymore?
I guess eat vegetables that I grow, because I couldn't imagine a world without music.
Okay, good choice. I would choose that too. But you're gonna be growing a lot of vegetables.
Right? I do want a farm one day, but like, well, I guess I shouldn't call it a farm. Like, just a small garden of vegetables in my backyard.
Got you. Same. I definitely um dibble and dabble in growing stuff, but I'm not the best. So before I get into like food, I'm like, I need to be able to keep my plants alive.
You'll get there. I have the faith. Look at you've got the greenery behind you already.
Yes. Okay, last question. Let me pick a good one. Okay. One piece swimsuit or two-piece swimsuit?
Two-piece.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want to know why. Why cover it up anyway? Like, I feel like a lot of people think that a one piece covers things up, but like if you're already in the swimsuit, whatever shape or whatever you got going on, people can see already. You're already in a swimsuit, so might as well just own it and rock the two piece.
Yes, I love it. I love a good two-piece.
Me
But
too.
thank you so much for joining us again. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
And before we go, can you tell the audience where they can find you on social media or on your website?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking to the two of you. On Instagram and TikTok, I am at Nic Hyl Clothing. That's NICHYL Clothing. And my website is www.nichyl.com. And as Keisha mentioned earlier, I do have a new nonprofit organization called Live Beautiful Nation Foundation. And with the sales of the clothes, a percentage of that goes to the foundation where we donate funds to women battling the day-to-day costs of living with breast cancer. It's an expensive disease to have. So if anybody is, um, down on their luck or just needs extra help, the foundation can help with like groceries for women battling breast cancer, cab rides to chemotherapy, just the things that health insurance wouldn't take care of that they might need
Mhm.
help with while, maybe they're not able to work while they're going through cancer. So that's what we're there for.
We definitely have to talk offline because I
Okay.
have an organization similar.
Yes, maybe we can do something together with our organization.
Yes. And before we wrap things up, I did want to ask you to like leave a positive affirmation or maybe a quote that can help build confidence or keep somebody going.
You have everything within you to do everything that you want to do. You just have to recognize that you already own it.
Hmm. Beautiful.
Someone told
Yeah.
me that once, and when I believed it, it became true.
Yes. I love it. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Like I could really go conquer the world
But
right
you
after
can. You
this.
can. Like all of our situations are all different, but there's a reason why you go through the experiences you go through, and I go through what I go through, and you go through what you go through, because those experiences are what's going to give us what we need to do what is coming and what is ahead for us. And it's giving you the energy and the know-how, if you will, I guess, to run your race in life and get you to where you're going. So if that's the case, then that means you already have what you need to run your race. You just have to acknowledge that you do.
Yes. And we all are here to help each other. I think once we realize that, it will be better because right now everybody seems like they out for self. But if you realize that yes, you have purpose, yes, you have talent, but it's not only to benefit you, but it's to benefit other people around you too.
Well said. So
Hmm.
true. Especially as Black women, we should all be helping each other because the world is already against us in so many ways. And, there's so many people that don't want to see us survive. So we should be building these tables together and creating seats for each of us so that as we grow, we can, lift up the generation of young Black girls behind us.
Yes, I agree. I feel like that's so important just to give back to the community and like help them to be better than us, the people that's of tomorrow. So, yes, thank you so
Sure.
much again for joining us. And make sure you all also go follow our page on Instagram and Twitter. It's at 21 minutes or less. And then on YouTube, you can type in 21 minutes or less podcast. And then you can follow our personal pages. Mine is at Keisha Milana.
And mine is at Miss Butterfly 21 MISS.
All right. And have a great rest of your day.